The massive screen inside Earth's Deep Space Monitoring Center lit up with thousands of red dots. Tom Miller, the night shift supervisor, nearly spilled his coffee as he leaned forward to study the readings. His 20 years of experience told him this was unlike anything he'd ever seen before. "Sir, you need to see this," called out Robert from his monitoring station. "The objects are maintaining perfect formation. This isn't a natural phenomenon." Tom pressed the emergency alert button, an action he had never taken in his entire career. Within minutes, the quiet facility transformed into a hub of frenzied activity. Scientists and military personnel poured in, their faces growing pale as they studied the data. The objects had appeared just beyond Neptune's orbit, moving in a disciplined pattern that defied natural space movement. Their speed and coordination suggested only one possibility: an alien fleet. General Harris arrived within the hour, his uniform slightly wrinkled from the rush journey. He stood before the main screen, hands clasped behind his back, studying the formation. "How long until they reach Mars?" he asked, his voice steady despite the situation. "At their current speed, 3 weeks, sir," answered Tom, pulling up the calculations. "They're moving faster than anything we've ever tracked, but still slower than light speed." The general nodded, then turned to address the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, what we're seeing here is what we've prepared for during the last 50 years. Since the Roswell incident, we knew this day would come. Activate Protocol Omega." Deep beneath the surface of every continent, hidden computers whirred to life. Satellites that had masqueraded as space debris for decades quietly activated their advanced sensing systems. Earth had not been as defenseless as it appeared. Dr. Emma White, head of the Alien Communications Division, worked with her team to intercept and decode the fleet's transmissions. After hours of intensive work, her face turned grim. "General, we've decoded their internal communications," she reported, her voice tight. "They're calling themselves the Imperial Armada. Their leader is Admiral Grant. She paused, taking a deep breath. "They're discussing plans to acquire Earth. They're treating it like a real estate transaction." The general's jaw tightened. "They think we're primitive," he stated. "Good. Let's keep it that way for now." As the fleet passed Jupiter, Earth's hidden sensors provided crystal-clear images of the ships. The main vessel was massive, nearly the size of Manhattan, with smaller ships arranged in a pattern that suggested both military precision and technological arrogance. In the following days, world leaders were quietly informed. For once, political differences were set aside. China, Russia, the United States, and all other nations agreed. Humanity would stand united. The fleet's first direct transmission came as they passed Mars. Admiral Grant's holographic image appeared on screens worldwide, though they allowed only military facilities to receive it. He appeared almost human, except for his silver skin and entirely black eyes. "Primitive world designated Earth," he began, his tone carrying the boredom of someone who had done this many times before. "Your planet has been selected for integration into the Galactic Empire. Your resources and population will be put to better use under Imperial guidance. Resist, and we will be forced to take more aggressive action. You have 48 hours to transmit your surrender." In the Pentagon's war room, General Harris watched the transmission end. He turned to the assembled military leaders from around the world. "They expect us to panic," he said, a slight smile playing on his lips. "They expect us to fight among ourselves or surrender immediately. Instead, we'll give them something they've never seen before." He pressed a button, and a holographic display showed Earth's true defensive capabilities, technologies that had been reverse-engineered and improved upon since the first alien crash landings decades ago. "Let them come closer," the general continued. "Let them think we're helpless. Then we'll give them their first and only warning. They think they're dealing with primitives, but they're about to learn why no alien race has ever successfully conquered Earth." As he spoke, hidden facilities around the world continued their final preparations. The Empire was about to learn that humanity was nothing like the other races they had encountered. This would be a first contact they would never forget. The Imperial fleet hung above Earth like a swarm of metallic wasps. Their ships reflected the sunlight, creating artificial stars visible even during daytime. People around the world looked up at the sky, but instead of panic, a strange calm had settled over humanity. Admiral Grant stood on his command bridge, watching the blue planet below. His silver features reflected in the massive viewport as he frowned at his display screen. Something wasn't right. According to Imperial records, primitive worlds usually descended into chaos at first contact. Yet his sensors showed no mass panic, no launching of primitive missiles, no desperate military responses. "Status report," he commanded. His first officer, a tall figure with the same metallic skin, stepped forward. "My lord, we've detected no military response. Their primitive satellites continue their usual operations. Their radio channels discuss us, but their tone is unusual." "Unusual how?" "They seem calm, sir. Almost too calm." Admiral Grant's black eyes narrowed. In 300 years of expanding the Empire, he had never encountered this reaction. Still, he had a job to do. He ordered the broadcast to begin. The Empire's message boomed across every frequency, overriding all Earth's communications. The Admiral's voice echoed from every radio, television, and communication device. "People of Earth, your 48 hours have passed. Your planet's resources have been deemed valuable to the Empire. Your population will serve as useful labor. Resistance is both futile and illogical. You have no weapons that can harm our ships. You have no defenses that can stop us. Submit now, and we will be merciful." In the United Nations Security Council chamber, representatives from every nation sat in silence as the message played. The room, usually filled with political arguments, was unusually united. General Harris stood at the podium, looking at the assembled leaders. "The Empire has revealed their greatest weakness," he said, his voice steady. "They believe their own propaganda. They think they know everything about us." He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed the locations of Earth's hidden defenses, quantum satellites disguised as space debris, energy weapons hidden in what appeared to be regular communications arrays, and defense systems that had been kept secret for decades. "For 50 years, he continued, every nation represented in this room has contributed to Project Guardian. While we fought our small wars, while we played our political games, we never forgot the real threat. Everything we learned from crashed alien ships, every piece of technology we reverse-engineered, every defense system we built, we kept it hidden, waiting for this day." The Swedish representative stood up. "The question is, do we show them everything?" "No," answered the Chinese general. "We show them just enough. Like the tiger that shows only its shadow. Sometimes the fear of what might be is more powerful than what is." General Harris nodded. "Exactly. They expect us to respond in one of two ways. Either with primitive weapons or complete surrender. Instead, we'll give them something unprecedented." The Russian president leaned forward. "The demonstration is ready." "Yes, all ships are in position, hidden in plain sight, just like everything else." General Harris looked around the room. "We have spent 50 years preparing for this moment. We let them think we were primitive. We let them think we were defenseless. Now we show them just enough to make them question everything they think they know about Earth." As if on cue, Admiral Grant's voice boomed again across all channels. "Your time is up. What is your answer?" The Security Council voted unanimously. For the first time in human history, every nation spoke with one voice. General Harris picked up the secure communication device. He looked at the assembled leaders one last time, received their nods of approval, and pressed the transmit button. "Admiral Grant," he spoke clearly and calmly, "on behalf of Earth, we have a message for your Empire. But rather than tell you our answer, we prefer to show you. Please direct your attention to the coordinates we're transmitting. Consider what you're about to see carefully. It will be Earth's first, last, and only warning. In his command ship, Admiral Grant received the transmission. He looked at the coordinates with confusion. They pointed to a small, uninhabited asteroid near Mars. What could these primitives possibly want to show him there? He was about to find out exactly how wrong the Empire had been about Earth. Major David Walker stood before the camera in full military dress. Behind him, the flags of all Earth's nations hung in perfect rows. The broadcast would be sent directly to the Imperial fleet, but every screen on Earth would show it too. His job was simple: deliver humanity's message. He took a deep breath and began. Admiral Grant, you believe you know what Earth is. Your scans tell you we are primitive. Your records show we are divided. Your data suggests we are easy prey. We're here to tell you a story. Our story. One that your empire needs to hear very carefully. In his command ship, Admiral Grant watched with mild amusement. He had heard countless pleas from primitive worlds before, but something in the human's steady gaze made him pause. Humanity, Walker continued, is the only known species to have used atomic weapons on itself and survived. In what we call World War II, we unleashed the power of the atom on 2 cities. We did this to ourselves, to our own species, and we survived. We learned. We grew stronger. The Major's voice remained calm as images began playing alongside his transmission. Historical footage of nuclear tests, their massive mushroom clouds rising into the sky. But that's not what makes us unique, Admiral. What makes us unique is that we looked into that atomic fire, saw our own destruction, and chose to keep these weapons ready. For 80 years, our nations pointed thousands of nuclear weapons at each other. We lived every day knowing we could end our own civilization. And yet, we survived. Admiral Grant's black eyes widened slightly as his analysts confirmed the footage was real. We are the species that survived ice ages with nothing but fire and stone tools. We are the species that built pyramids with copper chisels and wooden rollers. We are the species that went from our first powered flight to landing on our moon in just 66 years. The footage changed, showing humanity's achievements, but also its wars. Tanks rolling across deserts, ships cutting through oceans, aircraft breaking the sound barrier. Your empire sees our satellites and thinks they know our capabilities. You see our visible military bases and think you understand our strength. That, Admiral Grant, is your first mistake. At that moment on the Admiral's command screen, a small dot appeared near Mars, the uninhabited asteroid they had been directed to watch. Look carefully, Admiral, Walker said, his voice taking on an edge of steel. What you're about to see is not our greatest weapon. It's not our strongest defense. It's simply a demonstration. Suddenly, hundreds of objects around the asteroid revealed themselves. Satellites that had been invisible moments before appeared out of nowhere. A web of energy became visible, connecting them all. For 50 years, we've been preparing. Every alien craft that crashed on our world, every piece of technology we could salvage. We studied them, improved them, perfected them, and we kept them hidden. The asteroid began to glow. You see, Admiral, humanity has a unique trait. We don't just adopt technology. We obsess over it. We don't just copy it. We improve it. Every weapon you think you have, we've probably already made better. Every defense you think is impenetrable, we've likely already found a way through. The asteroid's glow intensified. We're not showing you this because we want war. We're showing you this because we want peace. Real peace. The kind that comes from mutual respect and understanding. The asteroid suddenly vanished. Not in an explosion. Not in a flash of light. It simply ceased to exist, leaving nothing behind but scattered atoms. That asteroid was 3 kilometers wide, Admiral. We didn't destroy it. We didn't break it. We simply unmade it. And every satellite you just saw reveal itself. There are thousands more still hidden throughout our solar system. Walker leaned forward slightly, his eyes locked on the camera. "This is humanity's one and only warning. We don't want to join your empire. We don't want to fight your empire. What we want is to be left alone. The choice now is yours. But remember, what you just saw wasn't a weapon. It was a greeting card." The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Grant staring at the empty space where the asteroid had been. For the first time in his 300-year career, he felt something he had never experienced before. Fear. The silence aboard the Imperial command ship lasted exactly 30 seconds after Earth's demonstration. Then chaos erupted. Full scan of the asteroid field. Admiral Grant shouted, "I want to know exactly what happened." His science officers scrambled to make sense of their readings. The senior analyst, Officer Reed, shook his head in disbelief. "Sir, there's nothing left to scan. The asteroid wasn't destroyed in any way we understand. Its atomic structure was completely unraveled." Admiral Grant stood at his viewport, watching more satellites decloak throughout the solar system. They appeared like stars being born, blinking into existence one after another. Near Jupiter, a massive array revealed itself. Around Saturn's rings, hundreds of platforms shimmered into view. Even the small dwarf planet Pluto had a ring of defense stations circling it. "My lord," his first officer called out, "we're detecting energy readings from all of them. Each station appears to have the same capability we just witnessed." On Earth, in the underground command center, General Harris watched the Imperial fleet's reaction through their advanced sensors. Dr. Emma White stood beside him, monitoring the aliens' communications. "They're panicking," she reported, a slight smile on her face. "Their internal communications show they've never encountered anything like this. They can't even understand how we hid all these platforms from their initial scans." The general nodded. "Time for Phase 2. Let's show them what those platforms can really do." At his command, the defense network activated fully. Beams of light connected each platform, creating a vast web throughout the solar system. From Earth, it looked like someone had drawn glowing lines between the stars. The Imperial fleet's sensors went crazy. Every ship detected energy levels that went beyond their measuring capabilities. The web wasn't just for show. It was a power grid, connecting every hidden station into a single, massive defense system. "Sir," Officer Reed called out to Admiral Grant, his voice shaking. "The humans, they've created a defense grid larger than anything in Imperial records. The energy output, it's beyond our comprehension." Admiral Grant watched as the grid pulsed with power. Each station could allegedly do what they had just witnessed with the asteroid. And there were thousands of them, all linked together, all powered as one. Back on Earth, Major Walker sent another transmission to the Imperial fleet. His voice was calm, almost friendly. "Admiral Grant, what you're seeing is just our outer defense grid. We call it the Aegis Network. Each platform you see has the same capability we demonstrated. Together, they can do much more. Would you like another demonstration?" The Admiral didn't respond. He couldn't. His military training, his centuries of experience, had never prepared him for this. Major Walker continued anyway. "Watch carefully. We're going to show you something small. Just a little trick, really." At that moment, the entire web of satellites pulsed once. A wave of energy spread through space, completely harmless but visible to every sensor. As it passed through the Imperial fleet, every ship's artificial gravity turned off for exactly 1 second, then restored itself. That was just a gentle reminder. Walker's voice came through again. "We could have turned off your engines, your weapons, your life support, but we didn't, because this isn't about showing you what we can destroy. It's about showing you why you shouldn't try." In the command center, Dr. White turned to General Harris. "Their communications are in complete disarray. Some ships are calling for retreat. Others want to attack immediately before we can act again. They're losing their unity." The general smiled. Exactly as planned. When faced with an unknown power, Armies don't fear what they've seen nearly as much as what they haven't seen yet. The defense grid pulsed again, this time creating a beautiful display of lights that danced through the solar system. It looked peaceful, almost artistic. But the message was clear. Earth could reach anywhere in its solar system, at any time, with whatever force it chose. Admiral Grant finally found his voice. Send a message to High Command, he ordered. Tell them we need new instructions. The situation here is unlike anything we've encountered. As he spoke those words, another 100 defense platforms decloaked, just to remind him that Earth's surprises weren't over yet. As Admiral Grant waited for new orders from the Imperial capital, Earth began its next phase. Major Walker's face appeared on the Imperial command ship screens once again. Admiral, while we wait for your superior's response, we'd like to share something with you. Consider it a history lesson. The transmission changed. The Imperial fleet's data systems began receiving thousands of files, videos, images, and documents from Earth's history. But these weren't just any records. They were carefully chosen to tell humanity's story. In the Empire's command ship, Officer Reeves sorted through the incoming data. Sir, they're showing us their wars. All of them. Admiral Grant watched as images played across his screen. Armies crossing vast deserts in machines called tanks. Massive ships launching flying machines that rained fire from above. Soldiers fighting in every kind of environment. Frozen wastelands, dense jungles, burning deserts, and deep oceans. Notice something interesting about these records, Admiral. Major Walker's voice returned. Humanity hasn't had a single year of complete peace in our entire recorded history. We've been fighting, learning, and improving our weapons since we first picked up sticks and stones. The next set of files showed humanity's weapons development, from simple spears to gunpowder, from early cannons to nuclear weapons, from basic computers to artificial intelligence. But here's the truly interesting part, Walker continued. Pay special attention to these next files. New data streamed in. These were different. They showed previous alien encounters, crashed ships in places called Roswell, Tunguska, and dozens of other locations. Each crash had been carefully hidden from the public, but meticulously studied by Earth's governments. Dr. Emma White, watching from Earth's command center, smiled as she monitored the Imperial fleet's reactions. Their computers are trying to match these crashes to their records, she reported to General Harris. They're finding nothing. These were all scout ships from civilizations even the Empire hasn't met. The records showed how Earth had taken each piece of alien technology and improved it. Humanity hadn't just copied the designs. They had understood them, taken them apart, and made them better. You might be wondering, Admiral, Walker's voice came through again. What happened to all these other civilizations that found Earth? Why didn't they report back to their people? Why isn't Earth already known throughout the galaxy? The silence on the Imperial command ship was deafening. The truth is simple. They never left. Or rather, we never let them leave. Each encounter taught us more. Each crash advanced our technology by decades. And now, the transmission showed one final set of images. Graves, hundreds of them, on a secret military base, each one marked with an alien symbol. These are the memorials we built for them, Walker explained. We treated them with respect, learned what we could, and gave them proper burials according to what we could understand of their customs. Because that's another thing about humans. Admiral, we can be incredibly compassionate, even to those who might wish us harm. Admiral Grant's silver skin had turned a shade paler. How many? He whispered. 37 different species over the last 70 years, Walker answered. None as advanced as your empire, of course. But each taught us something valuable. Each helped us prepare for this day. In Earth's command center, General Harris watched the Imperial fleet's reactions through their sensors. They're starting to understand, he said to his staff. Sometimes the best weapon isn't the one you show, it's the one you hint at. The final transmission showed Earth's current military forces, but with a twist. Every tank, plane, and ship was shown with hidden modifications. Alien technology integrated seamlessly with human engineering. Weapons that looked primitive on the outside but housed power that matched or exceeded Imperial technology. This has been a small sample of our archives, Admiral Walker concluded. We have much more to share. The question is, will we be sharing them as friends examining history together, or will you become another chapter in our collection of those who underestimated Earth? The transmission ended, leaving Admiral Grant staring at his display screen. His first officer approached cautiously. "Sir, High Command will expect our report soon." The Admiral nodded slowly. "Tell them." He paused, choosing his words carefully. "Tell them we may have made a significant miscalculation about Earth." The Imperial capital's response arrived 12 hours after Earth's historical demonstration. Admiral Grant stood alone in his private chamber, reading the message multiple times. For the first time in his long career, the High Command seemed uncertain. Orders unclear. Situation unprecedented. Use personal judgment. Survival of fleet takes priority. In all his years serving the Empire, he had never received such a vague command. The Empire always had clear plans, specific protocols. But Earth had changed everything. On his bridge, the crew waited nervously. They had seen things in Earth's transmission that shook their confidence. Officer Reed approached with another report. "Sir, we've completed our final analysis of their defense grid," Reed said, his voice low. "The technology they're using, some of it isn't just advanced. Some of it doesn't exist in our records at all. They've created completely new sciences." Admiral Grant nodded slowly. "And their historical records. Verified as authentic, sir. Most disturbing is their pattern of warfare. Most species develop weapons and then try to avoid using them. Humans." Reed paused, checking his notes. "Humans develop weapons and then immediately test them in actual combat. They learn from every conflict. They improve constantly." The Admiral walked to his viewport, watching Earth's defense platforms shimmer in the distance. Another concerning thought crossed his mind. How many platforms have they revealed so far? 3,742, sir. But our sensors suggest. Reed hesitated. "Suggest what?" "That we're still only seeing about half of them. New ones keep appearing every hour, like they're playing some kind of game with us, showing us just enough to make us wonder how many more they're hiding." In Earth's command center, Dr. Emma White monitored the Imperial fleet's internal communications. She turned to General Harris with an update. "Their crew morale is dropping fast," she reported. "Every time we decloak new platforms, their anxiety spikes. Some are starting to believe we have enough firepower to destroy their entire empire." The general smiled. "And do we? They don't know. That's the beauty of it. And not knowing is scaring them more than any weapon could." Major Walker prepared for another transmission, but this time it would be different. Instead of a warning or a history lesson, they would extend an olive branch. They had shown their strength. Now it was time to show their wisdom. The Major's face appeared on the Imperial fleet's screens once again. "Admiral Grant, we understand you've received new orders from your capital. Before you make your decision, we have one final message. This isn't a warning or a demonstration. It's an offer." The Admiral watched intently as Walker continued. "Earth doesn't want to be your enemy. We don't want to be your subjects either. What we propose is something your empire might find interesting. A true alliance. Equal partners. We have technologies you've never seen. You have experience in galactic politics we could learn from." In the Imperial ship, the crew watched their admiral's reaction carefully. His decisions had always affected their lives, but never quite like this. "Think about it, Admiral," Walker continued. "Your empire faces threats. Every empire does. Imagine having Earth as an ally rather than a conquered world. We've shown you what we can do in just our solar system. Imagine what we could accomplish together among the stars." Admiral Grant felt the weight of history on his shoulders. The Empire had conquered thousands of worlds, but none like this. None that offered partnership instead of submission. None that could back up their offer with such power. He turned to his crew, seeing the fear and uncertainty in their eyes. They had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they found themselves facing a choice that could change the galaxy. "Send a message to High Command," he finally ordered. "Tell them." He took a deep breath, knowing his next words would make history. "Tell them we are opening diplomatic channels with Earth, and advise them to approach with respect. We are not dealing with primitives here. We are dealing with equals." As the message was sent, Earth's defense grid pulsed once more. But this time, it created a beautiful display of lights, like a celebration. Perhaps, just perhaps, this was the beginning of something new in the galaxy. A partnership born not from conquest, but from mutual respect. And fear. Definitely a healthy amount of fear. The Imperial fleet began its withdrawal from Earth's solar system exactly 1 week after their arrival. Their massive ships moved in reverse formation, passing each defense platform with careful distance. Nobody wanted to make any sudden moves that might spook either side. Admiral Grant stood on his bridge one last time, watching the blue planet grow smaller on his view screen. His silver skin reflected the glow of Earth's defense grid, which still pulsed with quiet power throughout the solar system. "Send the final diplomatic package," he ordered. Officer Reed transmitted the Empire's formal recognition of Earth as a sovereign power. It was the first time in Imperial history that a potential conquest had been upgraded to full diplomatic status without a single shot being fired. On Earth, in the United Nations chamber, General Harris read the Imperial message to the assembled leaders. "The Galactic Empire formally recognizes Earth as a sovereign entity and extends an offer of full diplomatic relations. We request permission to establish an embassy in Earth's solar system, at a location of Earth's choosing. In return, we offer Earth equal representation in the Imperial Senate." The room erupted in applause. Humanity had not just survived its first major contact with a galactic power, it had earned respect. Dr. Emma White, still monitoring Imperial communications, smiled at her console. "They're already spreading the word to other parts of the Empire," she reported. "The story is growing with each retelling. Some ships are saying we have 10,000 defense platforms. Others swear we can make whole planets disappear." "Let them talk," General Harris replied. "Sometimes the stories people tell about you are more powerful than the truth." Major Walker prepared for his final transmission to the departing fleet. One last message to ensure the legend of Earth grew properly. The Imperial crew gathered around their screens as Walker's now familiar face appeared. "Admiral Grant, as a gesture of trust, we'd like to share something with you. Those platforms you've seen throughout our solar system, they're not our main defense system. They're our early warning network." The Admiral's black eyes widened slightly. "The real defense grid," Walker continued with a slight smile, "remains hidden, and will stay that way. Consider it insurance for our new friendship." In truth, the platforms were Earth's main defense, but as General Harris had said earlier, sometimes the weapons you hint at are stronger than the ones you show. The Imperial fleet passed Neptune's orbit, each ship's sensors still trying to detect these supposed hidden defenses. They found nothing, which only made them more nervous. After all, they hadn't detected the first set of platforms until Earth revealed them. News of Earth spread quickly through the galaxy, the planet that had turned back the Imperial fleet without firing a shot, the world with technology that could unmake matter, the humans who had spent decades preparing for a fight they knew would come. Other alien civilizations began sending diplomatic requests. Everyone wanted relations with the mysterious humans who had impressed the Empire. Earth's reputation grew with each retelling of the story. In the weeks that followed, Earth began constructing its first official alien embassy on the Moon. The location was chosen carefully, close enough to show trust, far enough to maintain security. The Empire's representatives would be welcomed as equals, not conquerors. Admiral Grant sent one final personal message, before his fleet jumped to faster than light speed. To the leaders of Earth, in 300 years of service, I have conquered worlds and expanded imperial borders. But you have taught me something valuable. True strength isn't just in the weapons you possess, but in the wisdom to know how to use them. The galaxy will be watching Earth closely now. I suspect you'll continue to surprise us. As the Imperial fleet vanished into deep space, General Harris stood in the underground command center one last time. The screen showed Earth's actual defense capabilities. Impressive, but not nearly as overwhelming as they had led the Empire to believe. Sometimes, he said to his staff, the greatest victory isn't in winning a war. It's in convincing your opponent that fighting you would be their worst possible choice. Earth had survived its first major galactic test. Through preparation, unity, and just the right amount of theatricality, humanity had earned its place among the stars. And if any other empire got ideas about conquering Earth, well, the rumors of their hidden defense grid would make them think twice. After all, no one had actually proven those rumors wrong.